Good day to you, Guyana, and welcome to Facing the Nation. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us again this week. Now, we have lots going on. One of the first things I'd like to remind you of this week is the importance of vaccination. I know at this point, health centers and various hospitals and so on, and even health offices are being flooded because, people are now hearing about the fact that there's the yellow fever vaccine and it's imperative to have it. I've heard some people even went, of course, to the airport. They were trying to travel abroad, of course, for vacation or business or whatever. And upon discovering that they're not vaccinated, they don't have the yellow fever vaccine, some of them have been turned back at the airport. So coming up a little later on in the program, I'm expecting Dr. Shamli Opisod and possibly another person from his team to not only come and talk about the importance of that particular vaccine, but the importance of vaccination in general. So stay tuned for that. You definitely want to hear and you want to know about what's going on and how important it is to be vaccinated. The thing is, when we get older, we think that, okay, we're not babies, so you don't necessarily have to take certain shots, but you'll hear today that those are a must. Also, recently in the news, we heard about Food for the Poor Guyana Inc. celebrating its Silver Jubilee. Of course, that is the 25th anniversary. As you know, Food for the Poor has done a lot for Guyana and, a lot for citizens in general and human interest and human development and so on. So I thought it fit to talk about not only the anniversary celebrations, but what we can expect from Food for the Poor as they continue to do so much that they would have already done for Guyana. And of course, to discuss that today, I have the public relations manager, and he is none other than Wayne Hamilton. Before I talk with Mr. Hamilton, let me remind you that the president, CEO of Food for the Poor Guyana is Food for the Poor in general is Mr. Robin Mahfood, and the chairman is Mr. Paul Chanasu. Kent Vincent is also the chairman of the board. He's the chairman of the board for Food for the Poor Guyana Incorporated. And I know Mr. Hamilton would have some additions and corrections to make to that. But first of all, welcome to Facing the Nation, Mr. Hamilton. It's great to have you on this week. And of course, we're talking about Food for the Poor Guyana, and congratulations on the 25 years of serving and of course, contributing to Guyana. Let's talk about some of these posts. Mr. Kent Vincent, you'd like to clear that up?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your program, Malika. Mr. Kent Vincent, he's the Chief Executive Officer of Food for the Poor Guyana, Inc. He heads the Guyana section of Food for the Poor. Food for the Poor overall, the head and president of this and CEO of Food for the Poor Incorporated, which is located in Florida, is Mr. Robin Mahfood.
Okay.
And 17 countries are really in the Food for the Poor group. Mr. Paul Chanasu, he's the chairman of Food for the Poor, the board of directors of Food for the Poor.
Food for the Poor. Okay, yeah. Great. Thank you very much for that. And I know that these gentlemen, they recently met with His Excellency. And, it was good to see that, because that means that Food for the Poor continues to collaborate with government and other organizations. First off, let me ask you, what are some of the main events and so on you would have had thus far to highlight Food for the Poor's existence for 25 years in Guyana?
Okay, well, actually the main highlight would have been our annual fundraising dinner, which was held last Saturday, the 25th, at the Pegasus Hotel, the Savannah Suite. and which was addressed by none other than the Honorable Minister of Social Protection, Mistress Valda Lawrence. Mr. Robin Mahfood, President and CEO, he was the guest speaker, and he delivered a feature address. There are also addresses by the CEO, Guyana, Mr. Kent Vincent, and the chairman, Mr. Paul Chanisu. But we started really officially on the 3rd of June, where we had a day of reflection, which was held at the police officers' training center. And the following day, we had a big public distribution in Parfaith Harmony. And then on the 8th and the 9th of this month, we had an exhibition which was held at the police officers' mess, Ivlery. Of course, we've been having other various activities. And only recently, Wednesday, we commissioned approximately 17 shade house projects. These projects were at Woodley Park, the Farmers Group Shade House project. There, 17 women farmers benefited from this project. And we also upgraded and furnished the Port Central Myconi Farmers Group. And in our Never Never village was also afforded a shade house.
Okay. The shade house, I know, yes, this is one of your many projects, and of course, this is in addition to even building homes.
Yes.
Let's talk about follow-ups and so, because I'm always interested in when you build homes for whether it be a single mother or family in general. Do you have programs or processes to follow up, to keep checking on these people that you would have, not only the shade houses, but the homes in general? Yes,
we do. As a matter of fact, we not only check on them, we also maintain, in some cases, by means of painting, also by supplying furniture, and even checking on the status of the family, how they're doing, so we could help, to sustain them. Yeah.
How long does this continue for? How long?
It's continuous.
Okay.
It's continuous.
Once you build a home, you are, in a sense, mandated to...
Right. But we also look for improvement that especially if the homeowners can improve themselves,
They're allowed to make additions?
They are allowed to make additions, yes.
Okay.
They're allowed to make additions. And we always go in, find out, check, to check out. Also, we have an audit department and the projects department who consistently check to see if the houses are being used for what purpose.
Intended purpose.
Yes, because we've been having every now and then
I was about
problems.
to ask, have you had problems with that where you may have to, and this would have been so unfortunate, but have you had problems or issues where you would have had to, in a sense, for want of a better word, repossess?
Not really, because remember that when we would have given these houses to the recipients, one of the main reasons for giving them the houses, you must own the land. That is one of the main aspects of giving you the homes.
So right, the land is already theirs.
Right, so. But we haven't been having that problem. But we still check to see.
To make sure that
because
misused.
The houses are mainly funded from donors overseas.
Okay, all right. We're going to definitely come to funding from donors overseas. Earlier, you talked about the dinner that you had, and you did mention the Honorable Minister of Social Protection, Valda Lawrence. I know one of the things that she said was that Guyana, that Food for the Poor Guyana would have done a lot to contribute to the alleviation of poverty. Now, it's still an issue in Guyana. Do you believe that Food for the Poor is in a position to do any more than the organization is already doing for Guyana in terms of alleviating poverty?
It's difficult to say. We have been doing a real lot of stuff for, the poor. We try to go into the various regions and identify what we call, because we're looking for the poorest of the poor.
There's a certain category that
Yes.
you
And there are quite a lot of very poor people. And, our aim is to try as much as possible to lessen. I don't think we can completely alleviate poverty,
Okay.
but we try as much as possible to lessen the poverty in Guyana by giving a variety of things you can think of. Apart from footwear and clothing and housing and so on, we have quite a lot of projects, what we call self-sustainable projects, like wells and water. We also do some, the latest project department, animal husbandry, tilapia farming, livestock rearing, skills training, and as I mentioned before, shade houses, and we also have like solar electrification projects, especially those areas who don't have
Electricity.
connected to the electric.
All right, great. We're going to come to those areas in a bit. Viewers, if you're now tuning in, this is Facing the Nation. Today we began the program by chatting with Mr. Wayne Hamilton. He is the Public Relations Manager at Food for the Poor Guyana, Inc. Our conversation comes at a time when Food for the Poor is celebrating 25 years here in Guyana. So we're talking about your achievements, some of the activities that would have gone already and some that, may possibly still to come. Today is only the first day of the new month, so the Food for the Poor is really still celebrating, and they ought to, because they have done a lot. Now, you talked about so many projects, the shade house, housing in general, water, and so on. How do you plan to bridge the gap in terms of assistance for hinterland communities? How do you deal with that difficulty or that challenge? It's easy to get things done here on the coastland, but in terms of going into the hinterland communities in the faraway regions, let's talk about your operations there.
Okay, well, we normally deal with committees, churches, and groups. These are the people who would come to Food for the Poor. If we can't get in, collect the items and distribute them. And, we emphasize a lot of on accountability. And, these people that we have looking after our affairs are quite accountable. And they manage the distribution process. We find a bit of difficulty in getting into regions 1, 8, and 9. The logistics there, Logistically, it's pretty difficult. But every now and then you'll have people coming out. As a matter of fact, recently we paid 2 visits to Letem, the European Union area.
Okay.
We were, I think it was the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, Junior Minister, Mrs. Goridalo, who organized some trucks.
To get your stuff.
Yes, and we sent our projects, not our projects, our field officer, Mr. Compton Giddens, there to oversee and supervise the distribution of the items. Yeah.
I'm happy that you mentioned Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous
Affairs.
Indigenous Peoples Affairs, and the fact that trucks were donated for you to get stuff in. Apart from that, what sort of support is usually necessary from government in order for Food for the Poor to carry out its mandate?
Well, to be honest with you, government has been very supportive of Food for the Poor. Last year at our 24th dinner, we were addressed by His Excellency the President, Mr. David Arthur Granger, and he was kind enough to give us certain, what should I say?
Ideas, advice,
exemptions in that we were
okay.
given 4 acres of land
Yes.
at Providence, because he visited us and realized that the facility we have there in North Rumveld, Festival City North Rumveld, we have outgrown that facility. He's also promised a yearly subvention to Food for the Poor, and duty-free allowance on vehicles that we would use to expand our work. So we've been very, very, very appreciative of the work of the government. As a matter of fact, the previous government too was very helpful. So it's a continuation
It continued,
of... Yeah.
okay. All right, great. I'm happy that you brought up the grant by the government in terms of the land. Are you in a position to say if works have begun, any movement is in that area yet to develop and help Food for the Poor to grow even bigger? Has it been utilized as yet?
No, not as yet, but let's say it's a work in progress.
Work in progress.
Mhm. But we're very appreciative, and we've been communicating constantly with the relevant authorities.
Okay, great. How much involved is Food for the Poor with other local non-governmental organizations?
Oh yes, we are very receptive to all the other non-governmental organizations. You have the CIOG. We used to be very associated with the organization that used to be headed by the former Prime Minister's wife.
Okay.
And we collaborate basically with the various non-governmental organizations.
So it's a support. They give support. You give
Yes,
support.
we give support. They give support. We are arguably, though, the leading non-governmental organization in the country.
Yes, you are. Yes,
Yeah.
you are indeed. You're like the mother or the
Yes.
father, whichever one. All right. I know one of the things I was reading that you've also, the organization, of course, Food for the Poor, would have also done work or continues to do work in schools and orphanages.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of those works, those operations.
Well, we have a school feeding program that accommodates approximately 460 school children. We have a school in Region 10, in Region 2. We also have schools in Region 4 that comprise these 460 children. And these children are given each day a hot, nutritious meal, a delicious fruit drink, and a fruit each day. And we also, that's not all, we give them, apart from we give them school supplies. We even give the schools furniture, not only those particular 5 schools, but in general.
In general.
And the schools that you spoke about, or that I've been telling you about, they also get what we call care packages. These packages do not only sustain them, but also their families.
Okay, so they're allowed to do that.
Yes, and we have the projects department who would go in, talk to the children, Two of the schools, I think, is in the Pomeroon River in Region 2. And the projects department, they were regular and consistent contacts with them. What is significant about that program is the fact that it has improved the school attendance. And ultimately with that, you find that the general results, the standard of the children has lifted.
Okay, great. Let's talk about the orphanages now.
The orphanages, approximately 11. These orphanages, the children are really sponsored from overseas donors. And they have every month, they have, we donate clothing, food, toiletries, school books, a variety of items. And each year, around about July, all of the 11 orphanages reach together, they gather to interact, play games, they're involved in cultural activities. They get to know one another,
Yes.
And at Christmas, they have parties,
And I guess that too contributes to government's policy about promoting national unity and social cohesion.
Yes, because of course there are different races and they come from different cultural backgrounds and so on. So when they mesh, it's wonderful. I think I can say it offhand, probably this month we'll be having the get together.
Okay.
And I'm inviting you to come along to see.
Oh, great. Well, I'm happy. I accept it. I'm grateful, and I accept it, and I will be there, sir.
Yes. We also deal with some geriatric homes. This is also, if you notice, you've been seeing the First Lady.
Yes, she's been doing a lot.
Yes, and she's been in some of the homes that we deal with, every month, we try to give these homes some packages too, relevant packages. We even deal with the palms on a consistent basis. They need pampers and other stuff, beds and so on. We contribute significantly also to the health sector, pharmaceuticals, various medical items, to the hospitals, and so on. We do quite a lot of work that I think God has been
Yes.
tremendous in
Yes,
our work.
And at the risk of sounding like a cliche, Food for the Poor Guyana Inc. is definitely the gift that keeps on giving, and I think Guyana is blessed, and Guyana is grateful to Food for the Poor Guyana because you've been able to bring relief to so many people.
Yes, it's true, and we're so grateful to our overseas donors and local donors. We have been very, 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 very grateful to the Mahfoud's, the Food for the Poor Incorporated in Florida, Mr. Mahfoud, and he continues to help and assist the poor. He's very close to the poor people. He loves them,
Okay.
As
great.
you had mentioned, they're God's people.
That is what we need, more humanitarians. Before I have to begin to wrap up my conversation with you, sir, and it certainly was a pleasurable one. What is the main, or are the main activities that would be coming up for Food for the Poor at this point in time? I am not sure if you've completed all of your activities for the 25th anniversary celebration, and if not, what is the major project that you're currently eyeing?
Well, the major project that we have going on would be a Walk of Champions.
Okay.
It's a faceless walk and health fair, which will be held on Sunday, the 3rd of July. And the health fair includes the services such as dentistry, optometry, health awareness tips, and more. This walk will start at the Bank of Guyana, Main and Church Streets, and will end in the National Park. The route is east along Church Street, north along Albert Street, into the National Park. And, we're just asking for a contribution of $3,000. This contribution includes a package of T-shirt, cap, water, personal care items, and other essentials. We'll be having the health fair. We'll be having doctors there, nurses, and so on. And so far, it has been going quite nicely.
Okay, great. And it comes at an opportune time again. Hopefully when the medical people get here, I can get them to give me some more information in terms of what services will be available at the fair, the health fair of itself. Mr. Hamilton, thank you very much for being a part of Facing the Nation. It certainly was a pleasure chatting with you.
It was a pleasure chatting with you too, Malika.
All right, great.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, you're very welcome. Viewers, this is Facing the Nation. Of course, stay tuned. Coming up on the other side of this very quick break, and I see him in studio already, I'll be talking with the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Shamdi Opasad, and we are talking about the importance of vaccination. And as I said earlier, we see some people are in a whole lot of confusion because people can't get to travel as they want because they were not aware that they have to have this very important vaccine. This is Facing the Nation. Stay tuned.